Good morning, everybody on Twitter and YouTube, and we're going live. And CPI day, I was hoped to be on before the CPI to kind of do a little preamble, but I guess we're going to all watch this. And okay, in case anybody is unaware, you see we're right at 6,300, and most of us in the Gamma SPX world know that that's been a magnet, a target, a stall area, whatever. And today, and we'll look at it momentarily, market makers are short calls there. Dealers are, customers are long calls there. So that becomes a potential magnet, a potential wall, a potential squeeze through, a potential pull back to, comes a lot of potentials. So it's interesting. I love this setup. And so some of the this is from my Substack notes, and now this becomes resistance from below. Resistance is really the wrong word, but too bad. You know, it's a pivot here, but we'll walk through the plan a little bit later. Good morning, Dennis. Um, so let's go through what else is going on. Let me mention a few things that I mentioned in my note that are, I think, are kind of important to remember. And let me just pull it up here so I can see it. Okay. So, all right. So obviously we popped up 25 points. So I hope it's obvious-ish on the NVIDIA news. Wall Street Journal said NVIDIA is going to be able to sell their chips to China. We have that big market maker gamma wall above us or below us, kind of depending where where we are in relation to that. Um, right now, it's below us. It's above us, rather, the market maker wall. We have lots of catalysts today. We have, aside from CPI, we have bank earnings, and I didn't really see what JP Morgan did, and I didn't see what whoever else reported. Although I do have some positions in some trading speculative things in Wells Fargo and in XLF. Um, we have Fed speakers coming on today, the usual. Now let's talk about VIX real quick. I'm just kind of going in order of my notes so that I'm somewhat structured, which is unusual for me. And we'll talk about VIX a little bit more when I show like some of the gamma levels. And we had VIX gets repriced, or let's just call it volatility getting repriced into the CPI print, just like into an earnings announcement. Volatility expands because of the uncertainty. We don't know how much it's going to move. People place bets. It expands. Once the unknown CPI results become known, here's what they are. There's two things that go on. There's the market reaction to the news. It was good, it was bad, it was indifferent, whatever. And along with that is the market makers having to rehedge based on the change in the volatility surface. Volatility goes up, goes down, deltas change, gamma changes, plus spot is moving. So we have all this initial stuff going on, technical term, right now. And so it looks like not a lot happened in this whole repricing thing. CPI June, I see. I'm not even going to bother to pull up the news because it doesn't matter to me. The news is the news. The algos will say whatever they want to say. My job is to react to it, not to predict it or not to have an opinion that the market is wrong, the market is right. The market's the market. So the immediate reaction, dealer adjusting the surface, algo repricing. Then at 9:30, we come in again, and there's whatever next repricing goes on, or whatever algos, high frequency traders, macros, whatever, do all that thing. Then 9:45, 10 o'clock, whatever floats your boat, maybe we have a feel of what's going on. And so what's going on today is going to set the tone for the VIX settlement tomorrow. So let me go into VIX, and I'm going to double that back around to, I'm doing actually good for time. And then I'm going to double back around to levels and stuff like that. So quick word about VIX, and here we go. And for VIX, I just like to use my buddy Paul Duncan Gamma Edges product. I just like the way they show it. Mentor Q's product shows it pretty good. Maybe we'll look at that as well. So VIX is expiring tomorrow. So the last trading day for VIX is today. And so whatever adjustments are going to have to go on in relation to that will be going on today, any rolling or whatever. And tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock is what's called the SOQ, special opening quote. Go follow VolSigs or whatever if you want to know the inside plumbing of how that works. All we know is that number comes out at 9 o'clock. Then usually at 9:30, whatever that VIX number is not necessarily reflective of how VIX is going to be an hour later, say. There's still funny algo stuff going on, or hedging stuff. And plus, the repricing, the repositioning, whatever. Let's remember that when customers take positions in VIX in August or September, whatever their rollout period is, the initial delta adjustment will happen based on those trades, the size, their location, etc. After that, then we get back into the gamma world, and the gamma of those is less because it's, gamma is time dependent, and now we're looking at a month and further. That said, gamma being time dependent, this is expiring tomorrow. So 17, big gamma level right here, over under 17 is a big deal. So market makers are presumably short VIX to hedge out these puts here. And we have whatever line this is, 16, 16 and a half. So these are the lines that are going to matter. Come on, there we go. All right, a little sticky here. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. That's okay. You can see 17 and a half, 16, 17, 16 and a half, 16. Somewhere in there. We could even be below 16. Now, what happens when it unclenches? Say we're free to move out of the orbit of the 1650 August, and maybe even out of that 1750 unclenched, we could have a new regime, maybe give it a day or two, where we're in the 1750, 18 to 21 if things get nasty. So we could reprice, the new VIX regime going into the next few weeks, maybe give it a day or two after options expiration, could shift up, call it 17 to 20-ish. So back of your mind and how that's going to influence everything moving around. Okay. So quick look at the straddle. This was a straddle from last Friday, 61, whatever this is, 70-ish, bottom of the straddle price, 63.50 top. So we've been respecting those. We're going to open somewhere up here near the top of the straddle, near like the upper portion of the straddle, and we'll see how this plays out. Now, the straddle price measured today, when I looked earlier, places us up near 63.75, and the bottom somewhere in that 62.20 2030 area. Remember, I've been talking about this the last few days, how the 62, 20, 35, how this zone keeps showing up. And so here it is on the straddle now. Okay. Hopefully you guys can follow my train of thought and feel free to ask questions or whatever. You can just type in the comments on YouTube or on Twitter. I think I see the Twitter comments. Okay, so let's go to options F. Let's start with, no, I don't want to see that view. No, why do I have two of the same views? Because I do. Let's go here then. Okay, fine. Let's go here, positional insights. I always like to start with this. This is my go-to for the day. So this is market, and again, the little teaching segment here. This is market maker long, customers short to the right, net positioning. This is market makers short, customers long, potential magnets to the left. This is position number, not gamma. Gamma is going to change if we're close to it or far from it. But I want to know where the landmines are. This landmine might not matter now, but if we're down here, it sure as hell will. So I want to know where the landmines are, especially when I make my daily plan. Okay, so what's going on here? Let me see where spot is right now. So we're still hanging around the 62.90, which initially I put as my pivot point in my chop zone. I said, nah, that's too close. So I sent a few versions of my plan out, to subscribers or to various Discords. So someone might be seeing an earlier version of that. I write it and I send it out, and then I run it through AI to edit it and fix the typos, and sometimes they screw up, sometimes I screw up. But anyway, so 62.90, in theory, we go down near here, market makers have to buy, but we move away, they have to sell. But this magnet is like bigly important. They have to hedge in the direction of this move. Should we break through it, we got these little stally features at 15, 20, magnets over here. So we have this choppy zone here with a slowdown at 25 where we would expect it to be. We also have this market maker long, customer short. So as we head up toward that, they have to sell to balance out. But then as we move away, they have to buy again. So this area, if we get over here, a potential pin somewhere in here, sure, why not? 6,300, though, is a large psychological level, so I don't know if we're going to close above it or not. Your crystal ball is as good as mine, especially on CPI algo day, news day, etc. Okay, so let's look at what's going on within the chop zone. So let's just say if we, kind of, where did we close yesterday? It's 70-ish, over here. So over here we have some market maker long, potential magnety kind of things. So as long as we're over 70, 75, then we got to look for the reaction from below at 90. And so this reaction slowing us is fighting with this reaction pulling us. It's a big math equation, and we see who wins in this area, 85 to 3,200. Down below, should we come down to near flat on yesterday, just up a little bit, depending on what they decide to do with NVIDIA and all the other tech stuff, whatever, pre-market, all that crap was running, AMD and this and that, So, Q's probably new all-time highs. I didn't look, but I would expect it to be. And so Down here would be the next level I would be looking if over, you know, in here chopping between here with attraction toward 75 and attraction toward 85. Hey, Joel. Yeah, okay. So pretty much it's NVIDIA under the hood component wise. However, the whole move is market makers hedging these short gamma up here and repricing this vol surface. So under the hood, whatever the dispersion trade is, NVIDIA's 4% move contributes to the component move versus the hedging out the dispersion of that. We just get to make it even more complicated. And so we'll see, but that's an important thing to note. As we know, as goes NVIDIA and maybe asterisk Microsoft and Amazon or whatever, and the Mag Boys, so goes the market. So thanks for pointing that out, Joel. Afternoon. Clearly, he's not in. Clearly, he's not in upstate New York on the farm. I didn't look at the Nvidia calls, but I will look. I actually had a 170 call. I sold it yesterday or 2 days ago. I had a 170 220ish. I had a really wide 50 wide Nvidia call debit spread that I bought. I've been seeing those 170s too, Joel. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at that. Well, your positional insights are completely different. Okay, we can talk about that. We can talk about that. But I do want to look at that because truthfully, I had kind of haven't been looking at the individual names nearly as much as I used to. Okay, so we have this pivoty thing here, and should we break below 50? Unlikely, but who the hell knows? Then we have this big zone here. You meant market depth? What do you mean market depth? Not sure what you mean by market depth. But we'll look at that. Okay, so that's that. Let's take a quick look at the heat map and the charm, and then I'm going to go take a look at those individual names. I'm going to take a look at those individual names. So let's look at this one first. So here we can see everything in context-ish. I'll zoom in here. Just give it some room. Otherwise, it's kind of like hard to see where you are in relation to something. And so where are we now? Probably near 90 still. Yeah, 93. Okay. So here's, you could call this the chop zone, 60 to 25, 30. You could call this the chop zone, 75 to 20. And here's where the action's going to be. And you have this magnet down, but we ain't getting there, but it's potential. It's market maker short, a lot of contracts. So you got to just kind of figure it. So you also have to figure that there's decays, and that helps. Got to figure that too. And here's the charm. We'll look at charm. So end of day pins, potential. Under yellow, over blue. 20, anywhere in the 6,300 to 6,280 zone gets tricky. Should we crap out right below the 60-ish area? Like, I think that was Friday's close. We've had a lot of stuff within here, 5 or 10 points. And then, of course, then we have all these zones down here. Okay, now I'm going to listen to my buddy Joel, because he's right. When he's right, he's right. Whoops. I'm going to turn off my heat map stuff. Now we'll put in mental cues stuff because they have NVIDIA and all the other stuff. So that way I can like do a quick run through. Quick run through. All right. So let's take a look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA 90, whatever it was in April, news of my death has been greatly exaggerated in NVIDIA. Okay, my alphabetical order is not as good today as it normally is. There we go. Okay, 170, of course, right at the call wall, quote unquote. Well, Joel, were you in NVIDIA also? Joel was my old trading buddy from Mentor Q. I haven't seen him around much. I know he's on Substack. We follow each other. We communicate. Oh, where are we opening? Okay. Yeah, man. I'm not answer. So we're opening at the call wall, quote unquote. And we'll look at Gamma Edge, and or we can look at Mentor Q's website and get a more nuanced view of what's going on there. And I'm guessing around number 75. Let's take a look at the Qs while we're at it. And I'm sure there's going to be 60. Yeah, there we are, the round number where we tend to be. So these round number stalls are typically interesting, especially going into a big expiration. You got to love it. You got to love the drama, folks, of how do they hedge these 560s that they're long? Do they close them? Do they monetize them? Do they roll them? Do we end up kind of pinning up near here in the cues or in the individual components? Gotta love the drama. Gotta love the drama. I'm sorry, I love this shit. You gotta love it. Gotta love it. Could be a seller news event too, sure. Could always be a seller news event. That's you got to have your head on a swivel for that stuff. Let's see how the rest of the Mag boys are doing. Apple, no big deal. I'm sure. Let's look at the. Okay, so no big reaction in AMAT, whatever. AMD, of course. The stepchild. ARC, probably. No, not that big reaction in Kathy Woods. Of course, AVGO, not that big of a reaction either. Another surprise. While we're at it, my CCJ that I've been pounding the tables on since the 30s, actually since it was in the 20s. And when I was doing a lot of live stuff at Mentor Q, I've been screaming about it all the time. I looked at it every day. I'm still screaming about it, obviously. And I actually posted last weekend or last week, it pulled down to 72-ish. Without giving investment advice, said, well, I don't know, I might consider going long here or selling a put there. Just saying. Anyway, CMG, my other old friend, stuck like Chuck, but selling puts below 50 has been working and doing covered strangles, owning shares, selling calls a little bit above and puts a little bit below for the extra income. Okay, that's how I roll. Not investment advice, like they say. What else are we going to look at here? NVIDIA, Copper. Dr. Copper is pulling back after that quote-unquote irrational move. Google 180's been a big deal. We're over. Haven't done this in a while. It's fun. Of course, we know Bitcoin, new all-time high, pull back, sell puts, covered strangles. IWM, that's the other one I've been pounding the table on. Not that big of a reaction. Remember, I was pounding the table down at 202 and 217, 215. Right now, I'm already just kind of positioned for August. Not that I'm holding it till August. I forget, I rolled up once or twice. I think it's 225, 240 or 35-ish. call debit spreads. I'm always in debit spreads or flies. I'm a theta junkie. I don't buy naked options. That's me. Not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's me. What's Meta doing? Nothing to get excited about. Oh, we have QILD roll, but those calls are that's on Thursday where they buy back the calls, but they're so in the money, it's probably not going to matter. It's going to matter more on Friday when they sell the at the money calls for next month. So maybe the window of weakness, if it doesn't open up these next few days, could, your crystal ball is as good as mine, start opening up on Friday when they sell this crap and when we unpin there. Pardon me for my plain language, folks. I guess I had a discussion with a friend of mine today about cursing in general in crude language. So SMCI, another one, news of my death have been greatly exaggerated at like 17. Come on. Uh, well, I'm going through the list here. TDEX, huh? Interesting. So there's been a little. Let's change gears and time frames a little bit when we look at the volatility-ish things. So tails caught a little bit of a bid, the three, but we don't know if they're right tails or left tails. But that's little mental asterisk, quantuition, see what it means. Um, and we'll look at the other dexes while I'm in the neighborhood. One standard deviation out of me. Okay, so we have, it seems like all of these, there's this little bit in SPY vol over there. Let's look at vol I at the money. At the money, vol didn't do much, but tails did. VVIX, 95. Okay, it came off the floor a little bit. So there's been this little vol bid, maybe with um, CPI and events, maybe with VIXPRI, whatever. But there's, so don't let the VIX 16 lull you into the idea that there's nothing going on in the vol space, because clearly there's a little something brewing over there. I keep trying to get rid of this. Okay, it's gone. XBI, by the way, I forgot to put in my note. That I think is the new catch-up trade. Everything else is caught up at XBI. And it's not just me. Oppenheimer, Opco, Ari Wald, their technical analyst, does a great thing every week called the color of fundamentals, the color of something, where he takes the fundamental picks and then does TA on them longer term. And this was what he flagged as what he likes. And then he looked at the different components under the hood. I meant to include that in my weekend freebie note for your casual CNBC readers, but watchers, but I didn't. So it'll probably be coming up in a future note. I'm a one-man band here, so can only do so much. Okay, so VIX 16. Okay, so right between the 17 and the 18. Uh, VIX one day, a kind of semi-useless measure. VIX 9 day 14. Okay, that seems a little conservative. VIX 9 day takes us into next week-ish with FOMC, not quite in the 9 day window, but getting there with the FOMC and with the tariff day, and we have another set of numbers, GDP or whatever. 3 month vol is kind of cheapish. The curve is semi-normalized, but a little cheap. Um, VIX 19 versus VIX. Where's VIX again? 16. That's about right. 2-3 point difference, so nothing to get crazy about. All right, I'm done with that. Joel, thank you for reminding me to look at the individual names. I haven't done that in a long time, and that was fun. That was fun. I do trade stocks too, but don't let anybody know. Okay, so there's that. Let's get back to the mothership, SPX. And again, no big shocker where we are. Yeah, video. Yes, and video was a catalyst for the gap up. Yep. And of course, whatever else that might imply. So if he's making a deal with China for Nvidia, Jensen Huang visited the White House. What they say? Jensen Huang, I think, was speaking to China. So what semi-diplomatic, undiplomatic, kind of the mafia where they say things where they don't say things is going on underneath the hood. Not saying anything good or bad. Back channels. If you don't think the world works on back channels, well, I don't know. Let me just say I do. You know, I happen to know, well, from some people that were involved in back channels in Iran and the USA in the 90s, that once those back channels closed, things got kind of ugly. Around the 2000, I think the Bush years, let's not get into politics, but back channels are important, I think. You're entitled to disagree. I wear my opinions like a garment lightly. I'm ready, willing to change them at any time. They don't really matter just because I think it doesn't mean it's true. We know that. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Let's take a look over here because I happen to have it handy. Dashboard. This is Gamma Edge. Paul Duncan said he'd be on. I got all these special guests, quote unquote. I'll get Fabio on from Mental Q. I'll get whoever on who wants to come on. Okay. So here's that 170. We got how many calls here? 147,000 calls that are ITM. Interesting. And we got 142,000 over here at 165. Now we don't know that they're ITM, but we kind of know. And we don't know if they're customer long, but whatever they are, we know that that's a big deal. According to their secret source, once they got over 62 and a half, you went long. And here's the final destination all the way up at 180, 250 longer term, not today. But you never know with this crazy beast. Let's take a look at what's going on. Okay, yeah, 180, 180-ish into August. Of course, and where's the big number here? Yeah, the big number is 170 across the chain. Oh, I hope not. Let me see. If I was, whoops, I have to rewrite everything. So let's hope I wasn't, but if I was, big whoops. I don't think I was, but maybe I was. It's possible. It's definitely possible. Well, I never look at positional insights. I look at position breakdown. I never look at positional insights really ever. 0 DTE. Oh, you're right. I screwed up. Sorry. Okay, I will rewrite that. Disregard that. Disregard that. Thank you. Good catch. My bad. Let's redo this real quickly. Let's redo this real quickly. Now I'm gonna have to go out. Let me tell you on Twitter real quick. My bad. Was looking at Friday expiry. Still matters much. Look for update. Whoops. Thank you. Thank you. I said, okay, yeah. And if everybody thought they were going crazy, that's fine. I guess I was looking at Friday and doing whatever, and I just forgot to. Okay. So, quick readjustment of the if then. And that's why it didn't show up here looking that way. But when we did the if then looking at the heat map, it didn't change appreciably. But let's rethink this. So we're over here at 6,300, and we have the little stalling over here at 6,300. Okay. And so we got this flyish looking thing here. If we get over 6,300, then of course we know we can't come up, and we have this market maker short up here. No wonder those numbers were so big, 10,000. Okay. Yep. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to have to rewrite this. It's just a matter of time. I'm going to have to go back and delete all the crap I put in everywhere. Oh, well. We're going to say that's for Friday, folks. And that's still the path for Friday. It's just not the path for today. Or that path gets grain assaulted. And if we just, let's do something for fun. Let's go specific. Let's get Friday in here. And let's look at GEX. Let's see how the math adds up. Oy. So between now and Friday, here's how the math adds up. We still have market makers short gamma because they have to hedge out Friday. Friday is not a year away. So the picture changes for sure, but not crazily so. We got this fly over here at 85. We got all the supportive stuff down here, same levels. We got if this breaks 50, no bueno. And we have the 6,200 area. Okay, so that's that. Let's look at gamma 0 DTE while we're at it versus position numbers. So where are we here? 6,300. And so stall here, and kind of we have this whole 95 to 75 messy, choppy stuff. If we should manage to get over, slow stall here, magnet here, stall at 25, sell the 50s and go home. Okay, I'm going to go because I got to rewrite some notes or whatever. Watch your Twitter feed or your Substack or wherever you see my stuff, my subscribers. Watch whatever. And I got work to do, but it's going to be a little late. I'm gonna admit I'm not gonna get it in right away. I'll get the deletions in right away, but then it's gonna take me a minute here. Okay, thanks, David, and see you guys later.